Oh, welcome back to my channel. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave a comment. Today I'm joined by Nidia. She's my wife, and we've been talking this past week about her experiences with auto writing and sharing some knowledge. And I thought this was valuable because I'm always talking about meditation, how valuable it is, and a lot of times I don't think I explain that there's different ways to meditate that can create wonderful experiences for you. So, Nidia, um, when we were talking during our walk, uh, would you explain a little bit what has been happening with you during your auto writing experiences, what you're doing?
Yeah, I can explain it, but I'm gonna instead of the auto writing, I'm gonna take you a little bit back because it kind of triggered with the walking. Uh, as I had I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight at the same time maintain my health because I'm overweight. So I started walking, and usually when we walk, you know that sometimes we only walk for about a half hour, and I wanted to start walking for an hour at least. Well, during these walks, it's almost like as I'm walking, a lot of thoughts are releasing. So I'm just kind of walking, strolling along, and so I'm getting these thoughts that are releasing. But at the same time that some of my thoughts are releasing, I'm also getting inputs like things that I should be doing, or things, I don't know, just processes that's for me, information for me. And I don't know why I got this urge, and something, I just wanted to draw geometrical signs like sacred geometry. And I've known about sacred geometry, and I've always been intrigued by it. Not always, but um, probably, gosh, at least 15 years or so, I've known about sacred geometry. But before then, just regular geometry. And for some reason, I just had the urge to draw. And I started doing drawing geometrical signs. Like I started with the seed of life, and you know uh, expanded a little bit on it. And I'm still like intrigued, and I still want to draw these geometrical signs. But as I'm doing it, I was telling you, was that as I'm doing it, I'm almost getting lost in space. And it's just, and I remember the space almost like sometimes this would happen to me when I would swim. And with swimming, it didn't happen too often, but I could get to that space. And it was very interesting, because I didn't realize what I was doing. That for some reason I had a need, first the walking, to the need to draw, these sacred geometry uh, images. And it just really relaxes me, and it just makes me feel really good for some reason. And I want when I'm doing this, it's so weird, it's almost like I want perfection. I want to do, and they don't come out perfect. And as I'm drawing them, something will happen, and I'll screw up, and I'm like, oh. But um, for some reason, I we had talked about this before. It's like I just want to get it right. For some reason, it's almost like I've seen in India where they do these drawings on the ground.
Buddhist,
Uh,
the Buddhist monks,
well, I think they do it in India too, not just in where
primarily
you
in
live in
India,
India.
but it's primarily from the Buddhist
Buddhist,
monks.
Buddhist, yeah. And I see them. They work on these. Also, what are they called? They're these images on the ground that they do with almost like powder, right? It's
Yes.
like a powder, and it's so beautiful, like what they
Powder,
create.
sand,
Oh,
color
sand,
sands.
color sand. They're so beautiful, and I can't even imagine myself doing anything like that. But when I'm doing these these drawings, it's like I want to do the best, and
So
I want you to explain to them. And
right. So this is where it's a form of meditation, and most people don't realize it. So what's happening is, if you understand traditional yoga from Hinduism in India, not the yoga that we call inside the United States, they're they're not the same. Um, so traditional yoga says that you have to do some type of stretching, which kind of gets you in the role to be able to sit for a long period of time, or to be stationary for a long period of time for a meditation. But there are different forms of meditation. So, you know, if we take a traditional form of meditation, you're doing a set of exercises to relax the body, to get the body stretched out and relaxed so you can sit down. It's not a workout, it's like a stretch. So the walking is stretching out the body so that it's limber and relaxing. So you're starting to relax as you're walking, and the longer you're walking, you're falling more into that relaxation. So mentally and physically, your body is just becoming more relaxed and getting comfortable. So this way, when you go to sit down, you can sit down in the chair that you're choosing to write in complete comfort, where it's almost to a point of where you're in a meditative state while you're writing. So this is where auto writing comes in, and it's a form of auto writing, but the way she's doing it isn't traditional form of auto writing. She's put her own little twist on it, which is fine, because of meditations, there's so many different types, and you can put your own twist on them. You don't have to do them just the way that people are teaching them. You have to find what works for you to get you in that relaxing state. So what we haven't talked about here is, me and Nidia have both changed our diet over the last year and a half. So diet matters, because if your body doesn't get the proper nutrition that it needs, and then it's really hard to get into these states. So it's nutrition, it's some form of exercise. It doesn't have to be, uh, heavy cardio and craziness. It just needs to get the body stretched out and relaxed and comfortable. And then it's
and you had mentioned, when I'm walking, I'm probably releasing in,
endorphins.
endorphins.
Correct.
That, which is true.
Feel good endorphins.
Yeah, you start feeling good, not knowing, of course, I'm just kind of walking and doing my thing. But he's right, because once you start reaching a certain, I guess, you start getting those endorphins and feeling good.
Yeah, because of what's happening is, like, your serotonin in your stomach or your gut, it's being released, and it's going to start shooting into the brain. And serotonin is very important to get it into the brain. So if you can get your serotonin, uh, getting it into the brain, a massive dump of serotonin, it's going to, I call it, help the pineal gland kind of almost light it up in a way. But this is where it's not like you're doing one thing in a form of a meditation. There's a bunch of little things that you kind of have to get the right formula, like baking a cake. And if you can get that right formula, you're turning something on inside of the body, which we call the chakras. And it's the primary chakras that start from your private area, or your hormones, all the way up to the top of your head. But it's finding that right formula or chemistry within your own body to get those to start opening up and working and lighting up. And I told Nidia where she's getting at inside of her auto writing is like the entryway or at the door of getting in that space that we're all trying to get to. And that where she's getting at, you start getting little trinkets of information, but the door hasn't fully opened yet. And before, the way that I tell people is you have to have, for them to give you more information, you have to surrender. In other words, you have to get to a point where you're responsible to handle the information that they're giving you because they're allowing you into a sacred space. Um, some people will call it the Akashic Records. Some people will call it inside of the vapor, the other side. But in order to access that sacred space, you have to surrender. And most people don't like to surrender. I fought to surrender for quite a while, and there's it's like you're giving up on yourself, like you're turning yourself over to the other side in order to gain access. But when you when you get to that surrendering point, um, they'll open up the door when you're willing to surrender. So she's at the door at this point. And so will you go into a little bit more deeper, like, you know, because I know you're sitting down and you bring out the pencil and your drawing pad and your little I forget the geometry,
compass.
the compass, and you sit there and you're doing your drawing. But what's happening to you as you're sitting there drawing that kicks everything off?
I think it's because I'm really not thinking, but I am thinking, uh, and it's just relaxing. It's just so relaxing, and not only that, but I even pay attention to the sound of the pencil. It's where it's soothing to me, and I like it. I like it.
So
like it's almost like food, like it's so enjoyable for some reason.
so this is the point, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is the point where we call it mindfulness. So it's a form of meditation that, if you're interested in mindfulness, look up in Buddhism, mindfulness, a form of meditation. But continue on.
And talking about meditation, this is really interesting because meditation, like sitting down, like Charles has not really worked for me. Just to throw it out there, because for some reason, um, what they call is the monkey mind. I feel like I was always in the monkey mind, always like thinking, 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 and I never really got to that point, like of relaxation, like what he's explained to me, which I really didn't realize where I was going into, and but I needed that walk, and then to sit down, because it's usually after a walk that, or when I feel relaxed, that I can sit down and just concentrate and do just what comes to me or what I'm thinking about, and once I get into that space, it's just enjoyable.
Well, what's one of the experiences you've had when you get into that space?
It's just it's just calming quietness, and I'm not really thinking about anything, and it's like everything's tuned out. Everything's I'm in another world, really.
Right. So, at this point in time, she's changed her vibration to tap into that sacred space. Now, have you tried to apply an intent to it, asking questions?
No, 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 because like I said, this is just brand new, and I wouldn't even have thought about, because when we go walking, we start talking and things like that, and but this is just something that just happened, you know, and just came about. And I was just following my feeling. I needed to get it out for some
Yeah.
reason. I needed, like, it needs to come out for some reason. And I don't know why the sacred geometry, why it has to be that type of uh, geometry that I'm looking at or that I'm playing with.
Yeah. And
It's so bizarre.
so this is what I have told Nidia during our conversation is in order to, since she's getting into that space, she needs to start paying attention when she gets into the space, when she comes out, to start documenting how is she sitting, what is she wearing, um, everything that she did up to the point of getting into that space. Because what you're trying to do is replicate it. So if you can replicate it over and over again, and then now you know how, what works for you to get you into that sacred space. If it, you know, so it no longer becomes a fluke or a one-time runoff or here and there. You're trying to understand your chemistry. What things do you have to fine tune that will automatically trigger that space for each individual? So it's impressive because of some people will take a lifetime trying to get into that space, or some people will sit down and concentrate on doing something a certain way to create that space,
And
but it's
honestly,
the replication of it that's valuable.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but I also think that um, those geometry, I think they do have something magical with inside of them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why. I mean, come to think about it, it's so funny because you will find it's the flower of life. First is the seed of life, the flower of life, and then I can't remember. It expands itself and it causes something else as it grows. But um, that image, those images that I'm drawing, I mean, date back, you know, and I laugh because I'm not laughing, but it's it's weird to find out that people were drawing it like millions, not millions, but or hundreds or thousands of years
Yeah.
ago. They have those in like a clay or on something that people were doing it. And it's like, well, maybe somebody was like me that needed to get it out or something. But there is something magical, I think, when it comes. It has to be something within those geometrical
Mhm.
signs that maybe it activates something
It could
inside
be
you. You know,
hypnotizing too to you.
it could be hypnotizing. It could be a lot of things. I
Things.
just don't know. It's
Right.
just, I'm just, it's just something that, and I think this is the important thing. I think whatever is urging in your heart, follow that. For me, I feel like, because I think that's something important that has to come out of you.
Yeah. The biggest thing, that the reason why I wanted Nidia to sit down and explain is because I know how difficult it is for people to get to that scared place. So having someone else explain their experience that is now just beginning to get into that sacred space is so important, because of, I don't think people can realize that there's so many forms of meditation, and we don't think of them as forms of meditation. And it's just, meditation is about getting yourself into a certain position that's relaxing to get you into that sacred space at the end of the day. And you can do it through prayer and washing dishes and sweeping floor and all kinds of things, but it's just finding that special ingredient that works for each individual so that they can get into that sacred space. And so that knowledge of what you're doing in the beginning steps that's creating that sacred space is so valuable for someone else who has never experienced it, or and is trying to understand, like, how is someone getting into that sacred space. So having different views and having different people talk about this, it's it's going to help someone else trigger, oh, if I start funneling with this works, this doesn't work
Yeah,
for
because it
me.
might be maybe pottery for them, the
Right.
making of pottery, or maybe, who knows, maybe counting something,
Yeah.
but I think it, I think whatever calls to you, pursue it, because maybe something magical will happen. I
Yeah.
don't know. I still don't know. I mean, Charlie was the one that kind of like said, "Wait a minute, what's going on?" And I started telling him, because I know we're together a lot, but sometimes we're doing different things, and I wouldn't have known what I was doing if he wouldn't have pointed out to me. So, and I don't know how long this could take. I mean, I don't know if I'll surrender. I don't know if I have the courage to do that. That's what I was telling him. I was like, I don't know, because they say your ego, and I think this is a issue with me, that uh, is my ego getting in the way, because will it change me? I'm thinking, like, can I lose myself? And why am I holding on? So so this will be interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know where this could lead. I'm not looking for it to lead anywhere, but I'm enjoying it while I'm doing it. So
Which is all that matters. And maybe if you get past the point of surrender where you're opening up and getting further in there, we'll come back and explain a little bit more about your experience. And but I just wanted people to understand so that they could get a different perspective, a different way. You know, just don't think that there's one way to get into that space. And that's the most important thing. It's just finding what works for you. There's certain things that we're all going to do, but there's the little chemistry that you have to work at to get it just right, the right ingredients for you. With that said, um, don't forget, leave some comments, subscribe, hit like, and until next time, take care.